I did write an entire book on it. It's had 1.5 million unique views. It's called Financial Tyranny. You can find it on my website, divinecosmos.com. And the Russians picked up my book and turned it into 2 3-hour primetime television documentaries that were on Ren TV, which is one of their top networks. And the viewership was estimated 24 million people.
Wow.
And my face was in the documentary all over the place. And we have versions of that on my website that you can watch with English subtitles. Okay, so that being said, here's the story. The Cabal has been planning to try to dominate the planet for many, many hundreds of years. If you really want to understand what the Cabal is, it goes all the way back to Babylonian money magic and the idea of using a financial system to create a disparity between rich and poor so that a small group of isolated power elites can control who lives and who dies, who eats and who starves. They've been playing this game by becoming the people who are in power, never through actually being the elected leaders themselves. They almost never do that. Those are never more than mid-level people. The top people are not elected. The top people are the ones that run the money system.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not anti-Semitic. This has nothing to do with the Jews. And that's one of the things people start saying is, oh, he's anti-Semitic. He says it's the bankers, okay? When I say bankers, I'm saying every race, every religion. Has nothing to do with anything Jewish.
Okay.
Okay, that's very important. Now, there may be some Jews who are bankers, yes. There's also Arabs. There's also Buddhists and Hindus and everybody you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So the real issue that's going on here is the Cabal, is essentially a Roman Empire that transplanted itself to Great Britain beginning around 100 AD. Took about 100 years. They migrated there. There's still a city in England called Bath that has the original Roman baths from 100 to 200 AD. You can still go in them now. Okay, so why did they pick Britain? Because it's the only large island that they could use as a base of operations to try to take over Europe, which at the time was the only really civilized area of the planet worth conquering. So this has been an ongoing battle. There have been different factions. There was a major battle at certain points between England and Spain. Spain actually at one point had taken over the Vatican, and there has been now a business agreement made, or there was, between essentially the financial cabal, which was centered in Britain, the religious cabal, which was centered in the Vatican, and then the military wing, which was centered in the United States. And it's interesting that there's only 3 city-states within nations in the world. There's the City of London in England, which is the financial center of the cabal. There's Vatican City in Italy, which is the spiritual center of the cabal. And then there's Washington, D.C., which is the military center of the cabal.
Interesting.
So what's happened is that this group got together and created the most incredibly vast, systematic plan to plunder the world's wealth that's ever been contrived, and that was World War I and World War II. And what they did is they used these invasions of countries as a cover. The war was bloody, yes, that's true. Everybody talks about how Prescott Bush, George Bush Sr.'s father, was Hitler's banker. What you may not realize is that Prescott's father, Samuel Bush, was the owner of the Remington Gun Company, which sold over 90% of all the guns to both sides of World War I. Now think about that. So you can make money on selling the weapons, but that wasn't the main issue. The main issue was create these wars. And the real thing is that when you get into the country as a military invasion, invade their central bank and take their gold. And what happened is very secretly throughout the early 20th century, and especially in the 1930s, and a lot of it was done by Japan, which at the time was totally fascist and working with the Nazis. Remember, Japan was part of the Axis. They bombed us in Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Okay. They went through all of Southeast Asia and China and robbed everybody's gold. Nobody ever did it on such an industrial scale as Japan. They did horrible atrocities, including something called the Rape of Nanking in China, which is one of the greatest mass atrocities in human history.
That's right.